do have an undergraduate degree in philosophy, all the way back in the dark ages, 1977. I live here in beautiful Covington/Cincinnati, Ohio. It's 4 a.m. here, just about. So let the headphones keep the wife asleep. I'm in finance. I have a wealth management practice, and I have used some of the things that I learned in philosophy to attain some degree of success at an endeavor completely, generally thought away from the field. But one of the things I learned about philosophy was that the philosophers that you'll study, meet, you'll rarely ever see a chink in their logic. They all start from a certain set of assumptions, and if you're perfectly logical, you'll come up with a set of conclusions. And all these brilliant people tend to disagree with one another. So it's not the logic, it's usually back at the stage of the assumptions. And when you're looking at investments, it's the same thing. You start with a certain assumption about how the world is going, and then therefore whether I should buy or sell. And you set out in advance, well, what things would I be wrong if I needed to change direction? And that's sort of part of how I've managed to use this more arcane system of learning how to think, critical rationalism, critical thought, and turn it into a profession outside of academia. I've never given up my lifelong study of philosophy. I'm a bit of an autodidact. And I guess I came across Popper. The first book was The Logic of Scientific Discovery, because I had always wrestled with the problem of induction and didn't quite know how to settle it in my mind. And not to say that any problem is ever settled. There's always issues and nuances, which is why we're together again today. But I did believe that the falsifiability criteria meant a lot. I had studied quite in depth the British empiricists, and when you saw what Hume did to the whole concept of empiricism and induction, and left everybody sort of drawing a blank until Kant kind of fudged everything to come up with a solution, and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. But ever since, it's been a lot of unsatisfying argument, 2 centuries worth. But Popper in the LSD, I don't know, just got me onto a direction that really worked. And I guess my next book was really The Open Society and Its Enemies, though I probably read most of the, if not all of a lot of the major books that Popper wrote. But there too, in political philosophy, it kind of rang out very true to me and what I thought. And it basically, I really pointed out, I guess I'm a student of the history of ideas. And so I liked having, the whole connection from Plato down, and the thought processes that sort of weave their way through political culture to today, elucidated the way Popper did. A lot of my academic and autodidactic efforts have been in studying the classics. And even in high school, we had a lot of Latin and Greek and things. It's an unusual academic background from what a lot of kids get exposed to today, I suppose. But at any rate, that's what brings me here. And I guess there was an old Popper board all the way back in America Online days that I ran into Rafe Champion, or I guess that's how he pronounces his first name. And there was any number of the group that are involved seemingly with all things Popper, and we would argue back and forth. And that's been going on since the early 90s. So I just like to keep tabs. So I'm going to be a more of a listener, but and trying to learn. But if I have something to contribute, I will. I guess the only other thing to know about me, besides that I'm in finance and run money for a living, is I'm a small time, recovered politician. I was the mayor of vice in my town of 40,000 people. So I have a little bit of practical knowledge about that, and have some ideas about how Popper's philosophy helps one actually govern. So that's me.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Lovely to meet
Well,
you.
thanks for that, Steve.
Oh, Ray. Hello.
You just realised, oh dear.